Hi, it's me again. So today we will going to talk about our facts section, which is chapter 6.1, how to find the greatest common factor. I would like to share my screen first. So we need to know what is the greatest common factor first. So let me give you some examples. So I want you to find the greatest common factor of 15, 24, and 27. So the first step is I want you to find the factors of each numbers. So for 15, I have 1, 3, 5, and 15. As for 24, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, and 24. As for 27, I have 1, 3, 9, and 27. If I miss any factors, please let me know. Shoot me an email or comment below. So now we find all the factors of each numbers. So the next step is we want to find the common factors. So as for the first common factor they have is 1, right? They all both have the factor 1. So the second common factor would be 3, right? So do they have any other common factors? No, right? So now we need to find the greatest common factor. So really obvious, 3 is greater than 1. So the common factor of the 15, 24, and the 27 is 3. So usually we have shorthanded, which is GCF, as the greatest common factor. So now today I want to teach you a method how to be easy to find the common factor. So now you write down these 3 numbers, 15, 24, and 27. And now we use this symbol. They all both be divided by 3, right? So 15 divided by 3 has 5, 24 divided by 3 has 6, 27 divided by 3 is 9. So since they all both can be divided by 3, so 3, whatever numbers on here on the left side would be our the greatest common factors. So now I want to apply these methods to our a little bit complicated example, which involving with the variables. So what is variables? So first of all, I want to talk about variable is random variables. In short, it means the unknown numbers. We use the letter to represent, such as x, y, z. Those are the random variables. Or sometimes we'll use the letter A, B, C, or M, N, P, Q. Those letters, they represent unknown numbers. We call these random variables. So now the second example that I want to give you is, I want you to find the greatest common factor of 24x to the 4th y squared z 18x squared y to the 4th 12x cubed y z to the 5th. So the first step is you want to write down these 3 numbers. So I have 24s to the 4th y to the z squared, y to the 2 squared, not to the z squared. And then the second number is 18x squared y to the 4th power And then I have a 12s cubed y times z to the 5th. So now, this is a little bit complicated. I can't see what is the greatest common factor right away, right? We can do it one by one. We can find out what's the greatest common factor of the numbers such as 24, 18, and 12. So when you look at 24, 18, 12, they all both can be divided by 6. So 6 will be the common factor. So you use the first letter to divide by 6, what's remain? So what remain is you still have 4, since we didn't do anything about x, so that will remain the same, x to the 4th, y squared, and z. So 18 divided by 6 is 3, x squared, y to the 4th. And then 12s cubed times y times z, 5, divided by 6, I have 2s cubed, y, and z to the 5th. Okay, we already take care of the number part. So now we have 3 random variables. I want to take care of it one by one. So first of all, x. So what's the common factor of x? So when you look at the first one, it has 4f in the first letters and 2x for the second numbers, and then 3s for the third numbers. So that means they all both have what? X squared, right? So that means the second common factor would be x squared. So 4x fourth, y squared, z divided by x squared. So what's remain? We have 4 s to the 4th divided by x squared. We have x squared remain and z, and then 3x squared y to the 4th divided by x squared. I have 3 y to the 4th. And then 2 times x cubed y z to the 5th. You divide by x squared, you will have 2x, because 3 minus 2 is equal to 1, so you only have 1 power left, which is the default would be x. So z to the s to the 5th. Okay, so now they don't have any common factor involving with x. So the next step is we need to find the common factor of y. So when you look at y, so the first part, it has 2y. The second numbers has 4y. The third number only have 1y. So that means the common factor have what? Only 1y. So that means the first one, you have 4x squared times y and z, and 3y to the 4th divided by y. You have 3y to the cube. And then you will have 2x z to the 5th. Because you only have 1y, you divide by y, you equal to 1. So that's why it's 2x z to the 5th. So now the next step is we need to check z. So since the second number, it doesn't contain any z. So that means z is not a common factor for these all 3 numbers. So now we found the common factors in here. We just need to multiply this part, which is here. So the greatest common factor of these 3 numbers is 6 times x squared times y. So that's how you find the common factors. So another examples, if I have a 4x squared minus 20x plus 16. Now, okay, do you remember the distribution property of math? So let's do some reminder before we start it. So for distribution is if you have a 4 times x minus y, so that is equal to what? If I want to distribute 4 inside the parentheses, so you use 4 multiply every terms inside the parentheses, you will have 4x minus 4y, right? So from the right to the left, the order, if I have a 4x minus 4y, I write it as 4 times x minus y. This process is called factor because I want to pull out what's the common factor of each terms. So from the left to the right, this is called distribution. Okay, so now I want you to factor this part, factor the greatest common factor. So the first step is I want to find the greatest common factor. Use the method that I just taught you on the second example. So I have 3 terms, 4x squared, and then negative. Don't forget the sign, which is really important, which is negative 20x, and then positive 16. So we don't put any sign in front of it because the default would be a positive number. So now let's find the common factor. So now let's look at the number. We have 4, negative 20, and 16. So what would be the common factor? Would be 4, right? So 4x squared divided by 4, we have x squared remained. And then negative 20x divided by 4, I have negative 5x. And then 16 divided by 4, I have 4. So let's check. Do they all both have x? No, right? So that means the common factor is 4. So that means x squared minus 20x plus 16 is equal to, I pull out the 4 of each term. What's remain is x squared minus 5x plus 4, which is the letters here. Isn't this method great? I don't know if you learned this before, but I'm also teaching high school for 2 years now. As far as I know, I haven't seen this method before. This is I learned when I was growing up. I hope this will help you. Okay. So let me give you some other examples. Oops, sorry. And example 4. So if I have a 25s to the 4th minus 15s cubed plus 20x squared. Now I want you to factor this part. So like I said, the first is you want to find the greatest common factor of these 3 terms by writing down 24s to the 4th negative 15x cubed and 20x squared. So look at the letters. I have a 25, negative 15, and the 20. What do you think the greatest common factor? Should be 5, right? They all both can be divided by 5. So I have 25x to the 4th divided by 5, which is equal to 5s 4th. Negative 15x cubed divided by 5, I have a negative 3x cubed. And then 20x squared divided by 5, I have a 4x squared. So the next step is I want to check the variables x, if they have any common factor. So I have an x 4th, x cubed, and x squared. So they all both have what? X squared, right? So 5 times x 4th divided by x squared, which is equal to 5x squared negative 3x and then 4. Okay. So for this part, they multiply together would be their common factor. This is what they remain after I pull out their common factor. So our solution should be what? 25s to the 4th minus 15s cubed plus 20x squared is equal to 5 times x squared. What's remain? 5x squared minus 3x plus 4. So here's our solution. Let's have another example. A little bit complicated one. Let's add 2 more variables, I have 3x cubed y squared z plus 5s to the fourth y cubed z to the fifth minus 4xy to the fourth. So now I want to write down these three numbers and try to find their common factors. Okay, so the first, let's look at the numbers. I have 3, 5, and -4. Well, it seems they're prime to each other. So that means they don't have a common factor except 1. Usually 1 multiply everything equals to 1, so we don't need to worry about that too much. So now let's move on to check on the variables x, see if they have any common factor. So the first number, we have s cubed, and then the second number is s to the fourth, and then x. So that means the common factor would be 1x. So I have 3x cubed divided by x. I have x squared, y to the x to the z, 5s to the fourth, y cubed z5 fifth power, and then divide by x. I have 5x to the cube, y is 3, z to the fifth, and then -4x y to the fourth, divide by x. I have a -4 y to the fourth. Okay, so next we need to check the variable y. So I have a y squared, y is 3, and y to the fourth. So the common factor should be y squared. So I have 3x squared to the z, 5s cubed, y, and then z to the fifth, -4 y squared. And then the next step is we need to check the third variable, see if they have any common factor for the third variable, z. So the first one have 1z, the second one have z to the fifth. So the last one, they don't have any z. So that means z is not their common factor. So our answer would be x times y squared. And this part is what they remain after I factor the common factors of these three letters. So the solution should be the greatest common factor, x times y squared. What's remain? 3x squared times z plus 5s to the fourth y z to the fifth minus 4 times y to the fourth. So here I want you to be mindful about the sign. Here they don't have any sign. That means the default would be a positive, which is an add. And then since we have negative through the whole time, so that means here I want you to keep the negative. So be careful about the sign. So let's do another example. If I have this, I want you to factor 21x cubed plus 14x squared plus 7x. Like I say, you write it down, the numbers, the terms that you need to factor. So by now you may already be really familiar. You can see right away, hey, I can see 7x would be the common factor. So I don't need to do 2 steps, do the numbers and then variable, this 2 steps. I can just go ahead and just do 7x, because I know that 21x cubed divided by 7x is equal to 3x squared, and then this is equal to 2x, and this is equal to 1. 7x divided by 7x is equal to 1. So I can just go ahead and do it when you get really familiar with. If you're not familiar with, I will just suggest you to do it step by step, starting with the numbers, which is the common factor is 7. So I have what's remain? 3s cubed, 2s squared, and x. And then the next part is I want to find the common factor of the variable x. They all both have 1x. So 3x squared 2x, and x divided by x is equal to 1. No matter which way you use, you will end up with the same answer, which is the common factor would be 7 times x, 7x. I factor the 7x, I have 3x squared plus 2x plus 1. Okay, so sometimes we will have a special case, which is they don't have any common factor, such as this example, 9 plus 8 to the b squared. So when you look at the numbers, 8 and 9, they're prime to each other. So that means what? They don't have a common factor, and they also only have one variables on the second term. They don't have any variables for the first term. So that means these have no solution for the factor. Or we can just write down no common factor. So that's it for the section 6.1. I hope it's not too hard for you guys. If you are confused, if I did any mistake, please shoot me an email. If you can find out my mistake during my lecture, I'll give you extra credit. Okay. Also, I will post the I already posted the homework on my OpenMath. Please make sure you do the homework. Like I say, my homework will be graded by your competition. Please do it as soon as you can. And on Wednesday, we will have a quiz. I will post it on Canvas.